Today's tale is a lonely one. Well, our young couple was on a lonely road. It's almost so common it's cliche, running out of gas on a lonely road, except the price of the gas is quite uncommon. The car coasted along the cracked asphalt, its engine silent, its momentum dying with each passing second. The headlights cut through the pitch-black night, illuminating a road that stretched into nothingness. Jake tightened his grip on the steering wheel as he muttered a curse under his breath. "We're out," he said, glancing at Emily in the passenger seat. She sighed, rubbing her temples. "I told you we should have stopped at that last gas station." "I thought we had enough." His voice was tense, but there was no point in arguing now. They had been driving for hours, winding through empty back roads, trying to make up time after taking a wrong turn. Their phones had lost signal miles ago. No GPS, no gas, and now no choice but to push. A single neon glow flickered in the distance, barely visible against the inky sky. A gas station? Relief washed over Jake as he pointed it out. "There! We can make it!" Emily looked up and nodded, though something about it unsettled her. It stood alone, no cars, no other buildings, just a solitary, aging station in the middle of nowhere. They got out and began to push. The wind howled through the empty landscape, and the silence of the night felt unnatural, almost stifling. The closer they got, the stranger the gas station appeared. The sign above read, "Last Stop Gas," in peeling, faded letters, the neon barely clinging to life. Jake peered inside. The windows were grimy, obscured by years of dust and neglect. No one was behind the counter, no cars at the pumps, no signs of life. "Maybe it's abandoned," Emily whispered. Jake tried the door. It creaked open, revealing a dimly lit interior with shelves stocked with outdated snacks and drinks. A single ceiling fan groaned as it rotated. The cash register sat on the counter, untouched, covered in a thin layer of dust. Emily noticed an aged paper hanging on the wall near the counter of the gas station. When she looked more closely, she discovered it was actually an old, time-worn missing persons sign. It looked so old, Emily briefly wondered if the poor person had ever been found. "Hello," Jake called, his voice swallowed by the empty space. A long silence stretched between them before a voice, slow and raspy, answered from the shadows. "Helping yourselves, are ya?" Emily gasped and spun around. A man stood behind the counter now, though neither of them had heard him enter. With sallow skin stretched too tightly over his face, his eyes were sunken, almost hollow, and his grin was wide. Too wide. Jake swallowed hard. Yeah, we ran out of gas a little ways back. Can we fill up?" The man nodded slowly, but something about his stare made Emily's stomach knot. "Sure can," the attendant drawled, "but gas ain't free, and out here, we take a different kind of payment." Jake frowned. "We have cash and cards too, if—" The man shook his head. "No, I mean something valuable." Emily shuddered. "Like what?" The attendant leaned forward, his grin never faltering. "Memories, time, maybe even a little piece of yourself." Jake forced a chuckle, a bit nervously at the odd man's comment. "All right, mister, do you take money or not?" The man didn't answer. Instead, he turned and shuffled toward the back room, vanishing in the shadows. A shiver ran down Emily's spine. "Jake, let's just go. This place isn't right." Jake hesitated, then grabbed an old gas can from the counter. "If we don't get gas, we're stuck here all night. I'll fill this up and we'll be out of here." Emily sighed, uneasy, but she followed him outside. The pump was old, its metal rusted, its display was so faded it was nearly illegible. But when Jake lifted the nozzle to the can, fuel flowed freely into the can. As they waited, a crackling sound filled the air. The old radio inside the station had turned on by itself. whispering static before voices emerged, distorted and distant. "Jake?" Emily murmured, her grip tightening on his arm. "What the hell?" Jake whispered. The voices were faint, but growing clearer. They were speaking about them.
"They don't know yet,"
one voice rasped.
"Not yet, but soon."
Another added, a wheezing chuckle following. Emily's breathing turned ragged. "We need to leave now." Jake didn't argue. He grabbed the filled can and they rushed back to the car. But as soon as he reached for the door handle, Emily gasped, "Jake, look!" She pointed to the station's window. Their reflections were there, but not quite right. In the glass, their faces were distorted, stretched into grotesque, gaping expressions of fear. Their eyes were hollow black pits. Jake stumbled back, his pulse hammering. He turned toward the station, but the attendant was gone. The place looked darker, older, like it had been abandoned for decades. Jake quickly poured the gas from the can into the car as Emily shrieked, "Start the car!" Jake fumbled with the keys, heart pounding as the engine roared to life. He threw the car into drive and they sped off down the road. The neon light at the gas station flickered and faded behind them, but the relief was short-lived. As they drove, the road stretched ahead endlessly, the darkness pressing in, and then a familiar glow appeared on the horizon. As they drew closer, Emily's breath caught in her throat. No, that's not possible." Jake's knuckles turned white on the wheel as the car rolled toward what looked like the same station they had frantically been fleeing from. The same rusted pumps, the same flickering sign. Jake turned the car around, this time speeding in the opposite direction, pushing the car as fast as it could go, but soon, defying logic, the station reappeared. Closer this time. The attendant stood outside now, waiting. Emily screamed, "What's going on? We're trapped!" Jake slammed his foot on the gas, but the world around them distorted, twisting into a nightmarish blur. The gas station loomed ahead no matter which way they turned. In a frantic attempt to leave, once again they sped past the attendant as he grinned wider than humanly possible, his hollow eyes swallowing the last sliver of light. As they passed him, he rasped, "Told ya, the road only leads back here." The darkness swallowed them whole. They seemed to be trapped in a loop with no escape. Emily sobbed, clutching her head. "We have to wake up. We have to." Headlights flickered. The air grew thick, heavy, suffocating as they heard the attendant say, "You're part of the road now." And then the darkness seemed to swallow them whole. The gas station stood silent once more, its neon sign flickering open. The road remained empty, waiting for the next travelers to wander in, unaware of what awaited them. Inside, a new pair of missing persons posters fluttered on the bulletin board. Jake and Emily. They had joined the road now, and the road never lets go. Thanks for listening to my Dark Veil tale. Make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. It really does help me grow this channel so I can make more content for your enjoyment. Also, check out the linked video for another creeper-style story from Dark Veil Tales.